The shortcut trap. The rumble of a Porsche Cayenne tearing through a wheat field sounds like a chainsaw hacking through a thunderstorm. It was the fourth time that week. I stood on the porch of my weathered farmhouse, a mug of coffee gone cold in my hand, watching as two women in a cherry-red Porsche roared across my land like it was their drag strip. Dust billowed in angry clouds behind them. My sheep bolted, bleeding in panic. A wooden fence post splintered under the weight of their tires. The car didn't slow, it surged forward, engine snarling. Inside, two women reveled in their chaos. The passenger, her auburn hair whipping in the wind, leaned out the window, whooping like she'd just won the lottery. The driver, her face half hidden behind mirrored aviators, smirked as she gunned the engine. The Miller sisters, Diane and Lorraine. If arrogance had horsepower, they'd be a V12. I'd met them a month ago, and it hadn't been pleasant. It was a quiet Saturday morning, and I was patching a barbed wire fence along the edge of my property in Boone County, Nebraska. A bass-heavy thump rattled the ground before I saw the vehicle. Then, over the hill, came the blinding red Porsche, kicking up gravel and slicing through my wheat like it was nothing but a putting green. I waved them down, arms high, my flannel shirt catching the breeze. They stopped, though Diane nearly clipped a fence post swerving. "You lost?" I asked, stepping toward the driver's side. Lorraine, the driver, decked out in gold hoop earrings and a smug grin, chuckled. "Nope, just cutting through to Route 52. GPS says this is quicker." I pointed to the faded, private property, no trespassing sign staked in the dirt. "This is my land. You're trespassing." Diane, in a glittery crop top, snapped a selfie with me in the background. "Oh, look, Lorraine, Farmer Joe's cranky. Got his overalls in a twist." Lorraine snorted. "It's 2025, buddy. Don't put your farm in the middle of our shortcut." They peeled out, tires screeching, leaving me choking on dust and their laughter. I thought it was a one-off, city types blindly following their GPS. But the next day, they were back. Then the day after. Soon, it was a ritual. Every few days, usually around dusk, their base would shake my windows, and there they'd come, blasting through my fence line, tearing up my crops, waving like we were neighbors. They even brought an entourage onto a Jeep packed with cackling women, honking like it was a parade. They didn't care about my land, my livestock, or the sweat I'd poured into this place. Boundaries? They laughed at those. I tried playing nice. The first week, I nailed up new signs, "Private property, keep out." They were torn down by morning. The next week, I strung a chain across the path. It was snipped. I called the sheriff's office, left voicemails, and even caught Deputy Larson at the diner over his burger. "Trespassing's tricky," he said, wiping ketchup off his chin. "Need video or witnesses?" "I'm the witness," I said. "It's my farm." He shrugged. "Those country club types stir up trouble. Get proof." So, I was on my own. The sisters got bolder. One morning, I found tire tracks gouged through my barley patch, me best yield, ruined. Then my nephew sent me a TikTok. Caption, "Shortcut vibes, Porsche life, bad gals." There were Diane and Lorraine, speeding across my land, hair flying, music blaring, zero shame. Comments cheered them on. "Slay queens. Farmers need to chill." My farm, my life's work, was their Instagram backdrop, all because they didn't want to wait at the light on Route 52. They weren't just a nuisance now. They were a threat. I'd been patient, God knows I tried. But there's a breaking point when two entitled sisters treat your livelihood like their playground. I started watching them. They came mostly on Thursdays and Sundays. Always late afternoon, always dolled up, big earrings, bold makeup, like they were headed to a gala. Diane loved loud patterned zebra stripes and cheetah spots. Lorraine stuck to metallic silvers and golds. Their Porsche gleamed like a ruby, with not a speck of dirt on it, and it had never seen a real road. I thought it'd be a shame if that changed. Not revenge consequences. You kick a beehive, you get stung. I studied my land drainage, soil, terrain. There was a low dip near the sheep pen, naturally soggy after rain. Perfect. One night, under a starlit sky, I hauled my ATV out, loaded with sprinklers, hoses, timer switches, and bags of bentonite clay from the feed store. Over 3 nights, I built something slick and deep, disguised under straw and dirt. It looked like the rest of the field. Step in, and you'd sink to your shins. I tested it with a feed sack. It dropped like an anchor. I called it the pit stop. Then I waited, remote trigger in my pocket, checking the horizon for dust. On the fifth day, as the sun dipped low, I heard it hat base, that roar. The Porsche crested the hill, Diane filming, Lorraine grinning like a bandit. I leaned against a fence post, heart steady. Showtime. The Porsche hit the field, headlights slicing the dusk. Diane waved her phone, probably live-streaming their epic shortcut. Lorraine honked, scattering a flock of sparrows. They were 30 yards from the pit. I could see Diane's sequin top sparkling. Lorraine chewed gum like it was a competition. 20 yards. My thumb hovered over the trigger. 10 yards. I pressed it. A soft click, then a hiss. Water flooded the clay beneath the straw. The Porsche rolled forward, confident, then it stopped. A wet slurp, like boots in a swamp. The front tires sank. Lorraine jerked the wheel. The nose dipped. Diane's laugh died. Lorraine floored it, and that was her mistake. The rear wheels spun, spraying mud and manure in a glorious arc. The car lurched, then settled, sinking slow and steady, its red paint streaked with brown. It groaned, defeated, like a beast trapped in tar. Diane screamed and flung open her door, stepping straight into the muck. Her legs vanished to the knees. She flailed, slipped, and face-planted into the slime, her sequins now a muddy mosaic. Lorraine tried climbing out the window, but the hood was slick. She slid, landing hard in the pit, right in a fresh layer of sheep dung I'd added for flavor. Their shrieks echoed as the engine choked and died. Their friends, trailing in a Range Rover, piled out, phones up, laughing hysterically. "Diane, you're a mud pie," one yelled. "This is TikTok gold." Diane, dripping, spun on them. "Stop filming." They didn't. Lorraine staggered up, mascara streaming, and saw me by the fence, arms crossed. "You did this," she screeched. I shrugged. "You mean farm my land?" Diane, wobbling, pointed a muddy finger. "This is a $150,000 car. You're done, hillbilly." I nodded. "Good luck towing it. The last truck here needed a crane." I pulled out my phone. "Deputy Larson, if you see this, here's your trespassing proof. And property damage. And threats." The sisters froze. A tow truck's horn blared, right on cue I'd called earlier. The driver, sipping his soda, yelled, "You ladies stuck?" Lorraine, mud dripping from her chin, snapped, "Get it out." He scratched his head, not without a waver. "This ain't a road." They stood there, pride sinking faster than their Porsche, as their friends kept filming. I walked back to the house, sipped my coffee, and watched the tow crew lay boards. The sisters yelled at the driver, at each other, at the world. The Porsche, now a muddy monument, wasn't going anywhere fast. By morning, my farm was quiet. No bass, no tires, just birds and breeze. The pit had dried, the ruts like scars of bad choices. Word spread. By lunch, the video posted by their friends was everywhere. Titled, "Porsche Princesses Meet Farmer's Revenge," it hit 4 million views in 24 hours. Local news picked it up. A slow-motion clip of Diane's faceplant, set to banjo music, went viral. Strangers stopped by to fist bump me. A guy from Lincoln dropped off a pie with a note, for sticking it to the snobs. My neighbor, Old Man Jenkins, who hadn't laughed since the 90s, cackled till he coughed. The sisters weren't done, though. 3 days later, a lawyer's letter arrived, claiming malicious entrapment and emotional trauma. It was almost poetic. Phrases like hostile terrain and public shaming filled 2 pages. I didn't sweat it. I had video, time-stamped, with my signs clear as day. I had sheriff calls logged, neighbors ready to testify, and the TikTok they'd starred in. My lawyer, Tom, a high school pal, read their complaint and howled. "They trespassed, trashed your land, and tripped into their mess. Let's counter." We did. Trespassing, property damage, livestock endangerment, harassment plus a bill for fence repairs, and lost crops. Their lawyer dropped the case in a week, knowing it was a PR disaster waiting to happen. The video kept spreading. YouTube compilations, late-night TV jokes. My farm's dusty Facebook page blew up 15,000 followers in a month. I posted once, a shot of the pit with "Respect the land, or it bites." Comments poured in. Legend. Farmer Batman. Petty goals. I leaned into it. I uploaded a video, deadpan, explaining soil drainage and how to deter trespassers legally. It hit 1 million views. A tractor company sent free gear. A sprinkler brand offered a deal. A podcast invited me to talk about rural karma. I turned down a reality show. I'm no star. I'm just a guy with a farm and a point to make. Diane and Lorraine vanished from my fields. Months later, I saw them at the co-op. No makeup, no bling, pushing a cart, driving a dented Ford Focus. Lorraine caught my eye, and for a split second, I saw shame. Diane muttered and looked away. I nodded, tipped my cap, and walked on. Some fights end clean. My farm's quiet now. The sheep graze, the fences hold, and the only tracks are mine. The pit stop's still there, sprinklers ready, signs fresh. Private property trespassers will regret it. Karma's patient, but sometimes it just needs a little mud and a push. What do you think? Did I go too far, or did they get what they deserved? Have you faced bullies or injustice in your life? Share your stories in the comments. Let's talk about standing up to unfairness and where you draw the line. Your voice matters.